Hello, hello. This is Jennifer Navarrete. I am the founder of National Podcast Post Month, more commonly known as NaPodPoMo. And I just wanted to jump in here and really just give a quick recap because let me tell you something. There was a whole heck of a lot that happened this NaPodPoMo. And if you were not paying attention, you might have missed something. And so I don't want you to miss anything. And so I'm making sure that you are able to see what's going on here, going live. And so, first of all, if you don't know what NaPodPoMo is the 30-day global podcast challenge. And we celebrated the 16th year this year. And the really nice thing about that is that even though you would think after all this time that I've kind of got it down, right? There's nothing new. Oh no, there's always something new. And this year was the newest of the new and the biggest challenge that I've ever faced, but in a really wonderful, wonderful way. I felt like I was starting over in some cases in the world of podcasting, and I'll elaborate a little bit on that later. And in other ways, I felt like it was what it was, and in a really great way again. So, okay, you're probably going, okay, Jennifer, get on with it. So here we go. NaPodPoMo, National Podcast Post Month. You're looking here at napodpomo.org, which is the website for the Global Challenge. This year, we did something different. We had Blueberry came in as a supporter. And that was fantastic. It really helped us out. It really helped me out in my personal challenge, which I'll elaborate on in a little bit. But they also were supporting the community. So if you had questions or they gave us a bonus, free hosting using the promo code NaPodPoMo. And they were there to answer questions. If we bumped up against limits, they were bumping our limits up because they knew that we were doing this rabid challenge. Rabid? Is that a good word? I don't know. This massive challenge? Maybe that's nicer. We were doing this frenzy of a challenge. And so the likelihood that we were going to bump up against limits was very high. So if any of the podcasters who were using Blueberry hosting during NaPodPoMo bumped up against limits, they were increasing those limits. Now, I will say one of our podcasters found out that really quickly that using WAV files was not the way to go. And I was like, no, MP3, please. And so lessons learned, right? This is how we learn. The other thing was Creative Work Hour returned as a daily support for podcasters participating in NaPodPoMo, whether you were a first-time podcaster or a seasoned podcaster, every single day at 9 a.m. or 8 a.m. I think it was 9 a.m. Eastern because I'm in Central. So I think it was 8 a.m. my time. So 9 a.m. Eastern, they went live for 50 minutes and people could get their questions asked, tech questions, get support, get encouragement, get, pats on the back for things well done. And it was just such a phenomenal thing. This is the second year that we've done it. And I'm just so grateful to Alessandra White for really approaching me last year and saying, hey, we have a group of folks that wants to do it, but they also want some support. What do you think about doing a NaPodPoMo version of Creative Work Hour? So last year was the very first time, and it was such a success. I'm like, if you're down with it, we're going to do this year after year. And this year, we actually made it official. The Creative Work Hour is the first official NaPodPoMo community. It's open for other communities to join, but they've set the framework and the foundation for what this looks like out in the wild. And I'm super grateful to Alessandra and the entire Creative Work Hour community for really stepping into this and allowing the documentation, the framework, and everything that's being built with them as a community, as an official community, to be something that is open to future communities that decide to create that. Kind of like how NaNoWriMo, which is National Novel Writers Month, Writing Month, have communities or chapters all over the world. This is what that could be for folks who want to do it. But so they became our first official community. And I think that's fantastic. And of course, Blueberry was there along the way to guide on any of those pieces. And I was so grateful. My God. I really challenged myself this year. And I definitely felt the pain point of it in so many ways. So many ways. Okay, so what does that look like? Well, I think it looks like that it was just a real big push. So you may say, okay, well, what does that mean, Jennifer? What does that mean? It was a big push. Well, one of the things you can look up here at the very top, if you look up here, we have our mega feed, which our mega feed is the feed where all of the podcasters who are participating in NaPodPoMo can submit their feed. They get to choose. They don't have to, but they can submit their feed and they can share what it is that they're doing. And we use Feed Informer, feed.informer.com. Super awesome. I mean, gosh, and so you can see all of the episodes here, going on and on and on and on. And if we actually go to Feed Informer proper, I can show you what those look like, right? So I created a digest. It's called NaPodPoMo 2023. And then the digest sources are the individual feeds from the people who are participating in the challenge that gets aggregated together and is a single feed. And that's what shows up. Where am I? I'm getting lost. No. Here. This is all the feed aggregated under one. So it's kind of nice because when you hit play, or let me put it to you this way. When I would hit play on any given day, I would be cooking dinner, doing chores, doing other things. And I would just hit play on my podcast player. And it would just be episode after episode after episode. It was kind of like this, cornucopia of podcasting. And I didn't know what I was going to get. I was reaching in and things would just drop. And it was really kind of nice to get a sense of what everyone was talking about and getting a sense of how their show was growing and how, for the first time podcasters, how they were really developing their voice and getting really comfortable with it and just discovering more of who they are in this really amazing way. And I think that's the beauty of it, right? Is for it to be something that is just organic and natural and wonderful, and it's in a safe community space, so you don't feel like, oh God, what if somebody says something, or what if I mess up? And you're gonna mess up. Even though I am a seasoned podcaster, I mean, I'm going into 18 years under my belt, going into 19. I struggled this time. I really, really did, because I was stretching myself in new ways, but I knew I was doing it in a safe community space, and it allowed me the freedom to struggle, to stumble, to start strong, and then, stop and go, oh, I'm not sure I understand this. And I think I might've done this wrong. I'm not the only one. And then there's folks who, blaze through everything, and it's totally cool. And it's this wonderful little community, and the mega feed really kind of allows us to kind of live in that space. Now, I mentioned Creative Work Hour earlier, and so we actually had something on here that was for the Creative Work Hour. You could join every single day. Now, this is over, but I want to share this with you because if you're hearing about this for the first time, I want you to put on your calendar that you're going to join us every day or as often as you want to in November of 2024 for these daily support sessions. I'm telling you, this is like the icing on the cake for the value that NaPodPoMo brings to you as a podcaster, whether you're a seasoned podcaster or a first timer. That community support, super important. But now, granted, you may be like, I'm not really a joiner like that. I may want to join, but I don't know if I want to join there. It's a Zoom session, but you don't have to be on camera. I think I was on camera maybe twice the whole month. And not everybody was on camera. So it was like, you could lurk, you could talk, you could listen, you could be on camera, you could be whatever you wanted to be. And then, of course, we have the NaPodPoMo Facebook group that we've had for quite a while. And so that was still active here. And so that there was a whole group of people who this is where they prefer to interact with. And that's awesome too, because for the Creative Work Hour group, they were inside of a Discord channel. And then some folks are all Facebook people, but you may not be a Facebook person. You might be a X/Twitter person. And this year, something new that we did was I created, I say we because it's so many of us, but yeah, I created a NaPodPoMo community inside of X in order to kind of get us together. Not everybody wants to be in a community and everybody wants to be in there, but people would use the hashtag. And so it was kind of a cool way to kind of keep up with what everyone was doing and kind of share a little bit of the stuff that's going on and get a sense of what's happening all in one place. If Twitter/X was your place where you wanted to hang out, guess what? There was a community there for that. And most of the times people are just using the NaPodPoMo hashtag. And that's how everything's coming about, which, by the way, I didn't pull a tab up for that, but I can totally do it live. We're doing it live. And so here we go. NaPodPoMo, right? Different things, people talking, all kinds of stuff. And that's a really great way to find the conversations. It's just use the hashtag. Anyway, so what else did we do? Well, this was the third year for the NaPodPoMo community on Hive. And I will say this year, we probably had less activity on the community on Hive, but we also didn't have a lot of, last year we had like 2 or 3 different Hive communities participating. We had, Dreamport, we had Pimp Your Post Thursday. I think we folks from Hive Chat and Inya's Creative Work Hour last year. So it was a bit more active last year. This was a less active, but it didn't mean that people weren't posting on here. I think, we had some folks who were posting. Well, we had Entrepreneur Minded who was posting on here mostly, I guess, and me. And I thought we had some other folks at some point. We had some other folks doing it. Oh, here we go. Stuart. Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, we weren't the only ones. So it was much quieter, but it is there. If you're on the Hive blockchain, then this is something for you to take a look at for next year. And then that kind of wraps it up. Now, the one thing I did do this year that I haven't done in the past was that I went ahead and made an official NaPodPoMo podcast. It wasn't like I wasn't doing that before, but last year my experiment was to use spaces to go to Zealous to go to the mega feed. That was my experiment. And so I did that. Let's see, Zealous.1/ I don't know. I may have to do like ePodcaster or something. So, let's go. Where are we? Okay, I'm already logged in. Sweet. Okay, here's NaPodPoMo for last year. So last year my experiment was let me go on Spaces and then create a channel, which that's a NaPodPoMo channel. And then, is that going to work? I know sometimes it's a little finicky. It totally worked. Okay. So I went live almost every day. I think I went live. Maybe I skipped a day and then went twice in a day or something, but every day it looks, it looks like here. Yeah, on here I finished. I did 2 on the 25th, so I had missed a day. But I got my 30 episodes and going live through Spaces and then feeding into a channel on the NaPodPoMo channel on Zealous, which then gave me an RSS feed, which I used to go to the mega feed. So that was my experiment. And it worked. It was really great. I mean, it's still here. So that was my experiment last year. Now this year, I wanted to go live using the live item tag through Podcasting 2.0 and Blueberry's PowerPress plugin, and Blueberry being a supporter. Part of that support was supporting me doing this. Why? Because I wanted to learn it. And I had done my own research. Man, I'd done my own research. And oh God, it was hard to figure out. I mean, I kind of think of myself as kind of techie geeky, but I can tell you I did not feel techie geeky. I felt so out of depth. And again, I felt like I was back in 2005 hearing about podcasting for the first time and trying to figure out what the heck it meant. And this is where I was. And the fact that Blueberry had all this done in their backend, in their PowerPress plugin was like, oh, this is amazing. So I created the official NaPodPoMo podcast, and I guess I can make this bigger. Hello. So that way I could just put the podcast episodes here. And so I did. And here's my playlist, and here's all this. You can subscribe and all that good stuff, right? So this was me doing these episodes in 2 parts. The first part being something for the podcasters participating in NaPodPoMo, and the second part really talking about my experience using the live item tag and going live. And I am going to do a bunch of deep dives into that and do some tutorials and trainings. And so I have a whole series that I'm planning over the holidays. I'm crossing my fingers that I have capacity and bandwidth for it. But it was such a powerful thing that I'm like, I've got to do this. And I think other people need to do it too. And so that was my big experiment, was testing out the live item tag and getting a sense of how that works. Now, I stumbled a lot. It took me a long time to figure this out. It was so frustrating to me that I couldn't figure it out. And I was like, why is it so hard? And I have to tell you, my pride got in the way on some of this stuff, because I felt like as an 18-year plus podcaster, surely I can figure this out. And every time I reached out to the team at Blueberry, they would instantly be like, oh, here's what you need to do, or oh, you're missing this, or oh, maybe this. And I was like, ah. So here's my words of wisdom to all of you. Even though you've been doing something for a really long time, that doesn't mean, and if you're struggling, just reach out for help, diggy dang it. And I'm really just talking to myself. I did reach out for help, but not until after I'd exhausted my own efforts. And I could have saved myself a lot of time if I had just reached out sooner. But I felt like, they say pride goeth before the fall, right? I felt like I should be able to figure this out. I mean, surely I can figure this out. No, I couldn't. I needed help. And I'm super glad that the team at Blueberry, Mike Dell, he was my go-to guy, man. I would reach out to him and go, I think I'm having trouble here and I'm doing it this way, but I'm not getting this result. And I know it's operator error because the tech works, and sure enough, always operator error. I was missing something. I didn't check something. It was something that I didn't realize I needed this other additional piece and all this other stuff. And again, feeling very overwhelmed by all this, but also super grateful for the fact that it made me stretch and feel uncomfortable. I haven't been uncomfortable in podcasting in a really long time. I love podcasting. I feel very comfortable in it, but doing this live item tag, going live in the podcasting 2.0, arena. Oh God, I was intimidated as all get out and second guessed myself on everything. And so for me, this is also a good lesson, not a good lesson, a good reminder of the fact that that's how new podcasters feel. I mean, I remember that back when I got started, but it's been a while. It's been a moment since then. And I'm going to just say, if you have questions, like there are no dumb questions, like ask. And even if you think you should be able to figure it out, ask anyway, because once I knew what the answer was for every time that I was like thinking, oh, I should be able to figure this out and not figuring it out, I was like, oh, I could have saved myself so much time and stress and frustration. And why? Because I just thought, oh, you can figure it out, Jennifer. No, why? That's what support is for. Literally, that is what support is for. So big lesson learned here. Don't be too proud to ask. Don't feel like you should have your stuff together. A challenge like this is, well, a challenge. And you can be stretched, which I was. I'm super grateful for it. And I cannot wait to share with you all what I've learned. The future of podcasting is something that we as podcasters should absolutely lean into. Now, this is still, the podcasting 2.0 stuff is still very early adopter, techie, geeky. It's very much like how podcasting was in 2005, 6, 7, 8, those very early years. So is it something you have to rush into now? No. But as a podcaster, it's something you should absolutely begin to learn and have an understanding of and get a frame of reference for, whether for yourself or for your clients or for future projects. And that's really what it is. Knowing, what does G.I. Joe say? Knowing is half the battle. Yeah, totally. Knowing is half the battle. And then taking action and implementing is the next half, right? Doing the thing. So I think I will close this out. I so appreciate you for joining me live or for joining the recording because, yeah, I didn't announce I was doing this. I didn't let anybody know. I didn't, say, hey, I'm going to do this thing. No, I just decided that I was going to do this thing. So I did the thing, and you were here as part of the thing, and I appreciate you being here for the thing. And with that, I will close out. I wish you well. And I will talk with you. I don't know when the next time, but when you should follow me is you should follow me on Twitter/X because that's where I'm the most chatty. But I am at ePodcaster both on Web 2 and Web 3.